Hello everyone. Good evening all. It's privilege to have Ishak, who is a Sitecore MVP and technical evangelist. She'll take us through the webinar on Sitecore Horizon. On behalf of Suk Chennai, welcoming Ishak to the webinar. So extending my warm welcome to all the participants. Over to Ishak. We are excited to hear from you.
Thank you actually for having me, and good evening everyone, and thank you to give me the pleasure and the platform to speak again, and special thanks to Nizar for extending his invitation again and giving me the chance to share some of the latest knowledge I've acquired on Sitecore Horizon with you. I'm ready when everyone is ready to kick this off. Should I start? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. Thanks again, everyone. And today's session, I'm hoping to take you with a very light journey about Sitecore Horizon. My name is Ishraq. I've been around working with Sitecore for more than a decade now. Wow. It's been 12 years so far working with Sitecore, and I had the privilege of working with the latest of what Sitecore is offering with different clients based on different business needs. A quick context of why I've chosen this as a topic, and I wanted to share this with everyone, is I had the chance to work with a client of mine on an upgrade to Sitecore 10. And as all of you know, many of our clients are excited to just make that leap and just work on the latest and greatest of Sitecore 10. And one of the main features, or let's say modules that they were interested in is Horizon. And if you have a client who's very familiar with Sitecore, they have hands-on on it. They have been participating in symposiums and different sessions. So they pretty much have been hearing about Horizon maybe since 2018. So it's been a while since Sitecore started the conversation around having a new enhanced platform or enhanced module that can take your experience editing journey to the next level. So when they have announced this as part of 9.3, everyone has been excited. A lot of people started to experiment with it and try to investigate what's available, how mature is it. And you can see if you started with Sitecore 10 that there has been some enhancement. So just thinking about the history of this module being around just since 9.3, you can imagine that as an initial product, how mature it is. So I'm hoping as we navigate the different features and capabilities that Horizon are giving us, and to go through that with a small demo between an NSXA and an NSXA site, and we can build together a couple of pages and explore the different editing features. We can wrap up our heads around, okay, is it mature enough to propose this to our next client? Do we think this could be an offering or part of a rich experience, or it could be a nice feature given to certain level of content authors who can work with certain type of pages. So in a nutshell, Horizon is the next generation editor of the Sitecore Experience platform. And what they mean by that, since it's an editing tool, so our focus is both on pages and content and the editing part of it. So the best way to look at Horizon is as an editing tool. And the reason why I want just to give this context and agree from the beginning to look at it from this perspective is this: you can set your expectation around this capabilities, which is editing, because we don't want to look at Horizon as an entire replacement of the experience editor, because by far, if you look at the experience editor and it's evolving from the page editor into the experience editor, we came a long way through till we had this chance to have this stable, and again, with caveat to whatever you have your experience with the experience editor. However, it is a mature editing tool in Sitecore. So Horizon, think about it from that perspective. It gives you the ability to edit pages, both to edit and design. And again, with editing and design, we can always put that within the restriction of how mature that capabilities are, and as a content editing tool. The difference between 9.3 and 10, and if you have an installation of 10, you're going to see that you can edit content that are not necessarily part of a page. So this is one of the main differences between 9.3 and 10. So you have your page editing tool, so you can get into the page editor. And it's funny that in Horizon we can say page editor and content editor, because before the experience editor we used to call it page editor. So it's important when you communicate and when you speak with your content authors to be aware of this terminology, because by far we are used to experience editor, experience platform. Now we're bringing back page editor, a content editor, and we have the content editor, which is we typically refer to the Sitecore tree. So when we refer to these terminologies, just be aware that this is yet another set of terminology that you can add to their vocabulary. And again, it gives you the capability to view the template inside the page, inline editing, as we have experienced with the normal experience editor, and a nice feature which from my perspective is a nice one, because if you have been working with SXA, you can edit some of the metadata and the experience editor right on that page without having to go to the content editor and go to the Sitecore tree, locate your page and do that. And you can have now a new option in the page editor to edit these metadata. The other stuff, as I mentioned, is the content editor. And in this case, opposed to what we've used to see in the experience editor, you have the ribbon, you have your toolbar, you can navigate between pages. Now we can see the Sitecore tree inside this content editor. So you can navigate to your data folder, to your global folder, wherever you have been hosting your content, and you can edit that directly in an interface without having to go into a data source and create these things, or go back to the content editor and do that. So you can do this from within the Horizon interface. There's also some advanced enhancements between 9.3 and 10, and that can be visible in terms of having the rich text editor, single line text, general link, some fields that were not fully supported in 9.3, but now it's more mature and fully supported in Sitecore 10. Again, the caveat would be that every time they release a new version of Sitecore, and definitely a new enhancement to Horizon, would be to cover the rest of the supported Sitecore fields. But if you see any of these values as a raw value or like an uneditable form in the experience platform, then this is not supported yet and should be supported in the future. So basically, if I just go a little bit of here back into Horizon as a product, it gives me as main feature an editing perspective. So these capabilities in editing, it gives you a new way of images. Again, it lives actually side by side with the experience editor. If you're using it, lives side by side with the way you're working with SXA. It gives you another both pages and content within a new nice interface. Another aspect of Horizon is a simulator. And we mean by that, remember when we edit things, and I'm going to show this when we go to the demo part, and the experience editor, you can choose between the different devices. You need to go ahead and create a device, etc. The simulator, it gives you the option of testing different devices, review pages, and simulate how the customer is going to navigate and see your page in a different scenario. And this is a nice one, especially because when we test the pages that we are working on, or if you are using SXA, and sorry, I keep saying SXA because I'm using this as an example and the demo later on. But as you test and on different pages and lay out different designs, you definitely would love to see this in its responsive shape, or in a different layout, using tablets, using your mobile, a horizontal or vertical view. And it's so nice because it gives you that option as part of your editing experience, rather than using a different device, a different tool to test all of these things. So it's an added feature that personally I found very nice and very helpful, especially for your QA team to do that, or for your designer to see what they're producing just within the Sitecore without having to go into a different device. The final one would be insights. And what we mean by that, and this is very helpful for marketers and definitely for you from a technical perspective, which is instead of going into your experience analytics and running different tools or the path analyzer and checking how your pages has been performing, while you go back and edit this page, it gives you insight about the interaction with this specific page. So if you go within the sections and click on insights, it's going to give you the visits on this page, how many the bouncing rate, if someone visited this page and they were not interested with it and just they bounce out of it, and gives you a different set of analytics and insights. So as long as you go to that page, so I'm editing now my home page, I can instantly see how the different visitors has been interacting with this page specifically. I can get insights on the spot of how that has been portrayed and communicated with, and then I can start to change and say, okay, it seems this page is not interactive enough. I might need to add a CTA to the home page. So it gives you, again, another perspective in terms of your customer experience as a whole, the interaction of your visitors with these pages, and how you can utilize that as you build and edit and modify both your content and your page components in order to enhance the overall usage of these pages. So besides these main features from an editing perspective, let's talk a little bit about the tech, about the technology behind it. And just in a nutshell, Horizon is being built as an Angular app, and it uses Node.js as its to render the backend aspect of it. So this means that in order for this app to work, it has to be running within the authoring host. And what that means, you won't see this as a standalone URL that you can access it beyond your CM. So if you have your production environment, you have your CM behind the firewall, you have your CDs exposed, you can't go to your CD instance to say, I want to see horizon.my CD instance. It has to be within an authoring environment, because everything is being validated and authorized through the identity server API. So you have to be authorized. You should have the proper permission and content authoring privileges to edit and interact with these pages. And finally, it has to have the same setup of domain. And what I mean by that, when we install Sitecore 9 and above, you always have your identity server dot your domain, right? You have the xconnect dot your domain. So Horizon, it has to follow the same thing, because as more and more browsers are pushing for same-site cookies and to avoid any cause vulnerabilities and this kind of stuff, it has to follow the same setup. So when you install Horizon on top of your Sitecore instance, it has to follow the same concept, so you can avoid all the headache about any issues and troubleshootings of these errors. And since we're using the identity server and it's within an authoring and a secure kind of environment, HTTPS had to be enabled on the CM level. So you can try your normal setup locally, or if you don't have a certificate, but this is another consideration to keep in mind. If your instances are just for testing, use the IIS developer certificate. It's free and you can just find it. But if you're planning to install this and make it available for your clients, definitely make sure and take that into account, that your CM also has to be secure. We all know by now everyone is working within a secure environment, but just as this something to keep in mind as well. Another aspect of it's the technical behind Horizon would be using GraphQL. And as you can see, that Sitecore has been heavily relying on GraphQL with the for any of its standalone projects so far, or apps. We have JSS, we have GraphQL, and if you have been around since the discussion about Horizon, maybe since 2018, there used to be another product associated with Horizon, which is Zenith. And Zenith is another provider that's working with the GraphQL. So you can see that Sitecore is actually focusing more and more on how we can make our experiences more headless, how you can utilize this, whether it's an out-of-the-box feature or for integration with third parties, where Sitecore is not necessarily a main component in it, and we're definitely working with JSS and GraphQL in all of these interactions. So this is just yet another example on that, which means for the future, for the new developers joining, or for the old ones like me who still, like looking into that, I have to learn it, and I think the future needs us to focus a little bit more into these OData capabilities. So GraphQL is the way to communicate with the backend. Nice thing about the rich text editor capabilities in Horizon is that they get rid of what did we use? I just forgot. We're using equal.js instead of Telerik. So Telerik is no longer supported as part of the provider for the text editor capability. So this is another notable thing to do. Another differences between 9.3 and 10 is the introduction of support of DAM. So now you can manage your media and you can edit those media as part of your Horizon interface using a connector. So in order to use it, you have to make sure that you have activated the Horizon DAM integration by installing the Sitecore connector for Sitecore DAM. Once you have that in place and Sitecore provide a documentation around how to set that up, you have the opportunity to work with your DAM assets as well. So as you explore more and more of Horizon, you can start to see that we're trying to come up with a new interface with more enhanced capabilities that speaks to the future, but at the same time gives you and your content author the ability to interact with existing features or modules in Sitecore, such as JSS, such as SXA, such as the DAM and the Content Hub. All of these, whether it's like fully supported or with limitations, at least it gives you a little bit of a window on the future and how Sitecore is thinking about Horizon on the long run. Installation. So when I've installed this, to be honest, the only issue I faced was with installing Sitecore 10. And just because I go back and rely on an older version of SQL. But as long as you have your Sitecore 10 in place, installing Horizon is like any other module added to your Sitecore installation. Again, since we're using Node.js, you have to make sure your configuration is set up correctly for your Node.js and your Windows path. So your Horizon IIS app can access it and can interact with it with no issues. Certificate in place, CIF in place as mentioned, because everything has to be secured. So you need to make sure your installation is properly set up and you can easily communicate in a secure manner. And definitely we're working with .NET Core hosting bundling with some configuration and features that has to be enabled in your environment to allow you to interact seamlessly with Horizon. The person I did not find a lot of issues installing this on Sitecore 10. I know with 9.3 it was the first time, so there might be more issues encountered, but go ahead if you have a test environment with Sitecore 10, you can just simply install this and hopefully with no much issues with it. All right, so before I jump into the demo part of it, so where we can just experience all of this by hand, I just want to highlight a couple of nice things that this new editing tool is giving us, and some of the limitation that you need to keep in mind as you introduce someone into it or as you interact with it, and how we can help Sitecore make this more mature and available for much more wider range of content authors in the future. So again, it's a very nice and modern UI capability. So it's very light in comparison to the experience editor. We all know that Sitecore has been working on enhancing the experience editor performance, and you can see a huge performance differences between 9.2 and 9.3. In 9.3, it's way much faster. So there has been definitely work done on increasing the performance in the experience editor. So in Horizon, it's pretty much very quick. Pages does not need to reload every time you do something. It's on the spot, switching between tabs, going back and forth between the trees, very easy, seamless. It uses, as we know, like Angular and GraphQL, so it's pretty much fast. It includes drag and drop functionality similar to SXA. So if you have an older implementation, you are upgrading to Sitecore 10, and if your client has been enjoying the demos or videos around SXA and drag and drop, you can see this feature now available on Horizon. So when you add a rendering to the experience editor, you see, like you keep saying that to your page, actually you can drag and drop this in the Horizon page editor interface. As we mentioned, it gets you the insight directly into the page, and this is a nice feature. As your designer or content author can see on the spot how your page behave and can work with it. For many of us, Ctrl+S is our default command, but with Horizon, it has this autosave functionality during editing, so you don't have to worry about, okay, if I open the data source now, should I have been saving it or not? If I switch between, if my session just expire, am I gonna lose my my work so far, or just constantly worrying about saving? It gives you this as an autosave with a redo and an undo capabilities. Simulator again is part of the interface, so you can easily and quickly change your view and see how it looks like in a mobile and a desktop view. Limitation. So my major challenge was when I started to work with Horizon for the sake of my client was lack of documentation. So if you go into Sitecore, you'll see your normal documentation about these page editing capabilities and the content capabilities, but how does this work? The technical aspect of it, some of the things that we need to keep in the back of our head if we want to extend this, maybe how we can do that. Can we as developer, if we have an urgent need, and let's say in an ideal world we've already been adapting Horizon, can we edit that? Can we customize this interface? How we can do that? How we can play around with these different configuration in this standalone app. Is this something we can do or not? There's still a little to find out on the internet. So feel free to contribute to that, because definitely this is an area that deserves exploring and make more information available, because it helps everyone with the decision, should we adapt it or not? Should we introduce it to our clients? And if they like that experience, is it mature enough for them to fully adapt it and then later on customize it based on your business? Personalization. Personally, this one was a huge one, because I typically work with both the marketer and content authors and personalization and A/B testing, and this feature is not available similar to the experience editor. So you can't just go into a component and start doing that. This is not a feature available, which takes us actually to the first point when I started this talk about, is look about it as an edit tool at the beginning, so you don't have to put high expectation from it to fully replace the experience editor. If you look at this from an editing perspective, maybe this is not the right place to think about personalization, but for your information, it's not supported. Limited support for SXA and JSS, and this again just comes in line with the type of fields and options that are supported in an SXA environment. As mentioned, there's a difference between the type of fields being supported between 9.3 and 10. And consequently, what has been supported in SXA and JSS is going to fall within the same spectrum. And finally, we have a limitation in terms of the browser use. I don't know if this is a good or bad, but IE is not supported. I've been using this tool on Edge, and it works really nice. So I think that says a lot about that, but does not support Safari for Mac users. And it has also, it uses the smart publishing as part of its core publishing capabilities. You can publish the current item, you can publish related item to that page, but you can't publish children of that page. So there is a sort of limitation when it comes to publishing service if you have that in your project. So hopefully, like in a nutshell, this gives you a little bit of a highlight of what is Horizon as a tool, what to expect from that. And let's jump into our demo then. Let me just bring up my machine. All right. So this is my instance. This is a Sitecore 10 instance. Have installed Horizon before, so as you can see, it becomes as a new module within our dashboard, and it's underneath the content editing. So yet another indication of where this has been used as an editing tool. So I'm going to launch Horizon, just making sure I already logged in. All right. And then let me bring back my instance itself. So I'm gonna quickly go to my launchpad. Just keep it on the side. So let's quickly, come on. To my Sitecore instance. All right, I'll open a content editor, then I'll open Horizon. All right, so this is my instance. As you can see, I have my main default website. This is for a clean instance, and I have created and scaffolded a new tenant called Sitecore User Group. I created a new website called Chennai, just to showcase the differences between an SXA and an SXA site. So if I start with this, this is the interface, as you can see. The first part of this section is called the global bar. It has the switch. You can always, as we see, and go back to the launchpad. You have the options to switch between your pages and content. In older version, older version, I mean by that 9.3, this option was not available. You can't edit content as a standalone or if they are not part of a page. So you have your pages, you have your content, and you have your language switcher, so you can switch between. Give it another try. Okay. So I have two websites. So let's start with our default one. This is our website interface. So this is, if I select, this is my site tree. You can see your Sitecore tree and everything in there. And then you have this another toolbar. It's called the local toolbar. So again, this is like new terminology of learning, but it gives you the option to switch between pages and components. We have this ribbon. You can have, this is our simulator, so you can switch between different devices. We have our editing. So this is displaying our website in an edit mode. We have the page insights, which gonna give us the analytics of each page. We're gonna look at that in a minute. Metadata, and this is an option to edit other fields in the page. This is our simulator, so you can preview this in a preview mode, and this is more details about that. So if you just take an initial look into this interface, this is one of the features that I like. It gives you an idea about all the details that we've only seen in the content editor. So I can see that, okay, this page and coming from this template, this is my item, this is my item path, this is the current workflow if I have a workflow assigned to my page. So it gives you a quick idea about that. You can show or hide based on the area of editing that you are looking for. So let's go ahead and start by editing or adding a component into this page. So this is the text box. Let me just create that. Again, this is website title. It's the same option. This is a single line text, so there's nothing much I can edit on that other than the inline field, because in my homepage template, I only have a title and a text. The text is a rich text editor, so you can see what are the different options I can work with. So I can have this one to be bold. You can have this done without the need to use the Telerik component. So the WYSIWYG is different, and using the QuillJS as I mentioned. We have the option to using the rich text editor to insert an image. So for example, if I want to insert that, I can add selected. So I can have this add as part of my rich text editor. And I've added a new link to this template, so we can work with the general link component. You can see some of the limitation around that, because the link component, I can only edit almost nothing. I don't have anything exposed, and this is where some of these limitation in Horizon starts to show. It so far looks very easy, very nice. If I go ahead and create a new page, it gives me the option to rename a page directly, delete, create folders if I want to create folder structure, create a page, or create a page on the same level. So this gonna create a sibling to the home page, or I can create a new page. So let's create a new page. My insert option is sample page, so I'm gonna call it page 2. And directly I have present with the renderings that I have. I can have a drag and drop of these components into my placeholder. I have now this other rendering where I can edit the title, inscription, and the link, and it's within the workflow that has been assigned to this site. If we have like a full functional website, if we have Habitat, for example, you can see a list of all components in here. And we're going to take a look into that in the SXA site, and we can build a page and see the different capabilities. But from this perspective, if I want to take a look into how this page looks in the mobile, I can just switch this and have a different device. So I can see if my image has been responsive or not, or should have been functional as the way I want or not. Same thing with the mobile. So this is my phone, and as you can see, my HTML or my CSS is not fully supporting this the right way. So as I am developing this, as I am editing and designing this, I have this option. I can do a rotate, so I can see how it looks like, and I keep switching horizontal and vertical. But in this view, I can see I have lots of toolbars, so this is not functional as I want. So this is an easy way, very quick and very intuitive for me to see how it looks like. Sorry, is someone asking something? Okay, so the simulator, basically it shows this in the preview mode. So I can see as part of my updates, has anything been updated during this day, how this page looked like back in time. So this is also a nice feature to have, how it used to be, how the has been authored in that page. And this is why it's nice to have your workflow set in place, and every time you create a page, you can maintain a history and you see the pages across your timeline. So let's go back, and then I want to show the analytics. Because I was testing on the other side, so there is actually zero data has been collected about this page. However, just by switching between the editing and the insights tab, you can get an idea about the visits for this page. So if I go to my page one, I see the same. So I don't have to go to the analytics page and see as an accumulation of the visits to the entire site. I can see each single site. What does it mean for me? Conversion rate, how can improve performance, or have been this built in the right way, so there's no recommendation to it. So we can see this in the SXA site, and we can look into different insights. So these are the main capabilities and things that you can do within Horizon. Let's switch to an SXA site and actually build and see the differences. So as you can remember, in our normal website, the site tree has everything from the home page and down, and if we have other options, it's going to display that. If I switch to an SXA site, I'm going to see my presentation part of it. And you can see the content is separate, because if I switch now to my content view, I have more options displayed in this case. So I have my media folder, my data folder, my dictionary, and you can see everything in the Sitecore tree. So if I go to mine, now these are exposed to me, where I can edit these content directly from here, from the content, without the need to go back in here and create my rich text or my promos or whatever component I work on. So let's go back to the home page. So this is the home page, and if you remember how this looks like in SXA, it mimics the same interface. I have my placeholders, I have my header, my footer, my content area. So let's open this quickly in the experience editor. And you can see how this looks like for editing. This is my toolbox. This is my designing area. So what is the difference if I want to create or edit a content on this page? Let's start by taking a look. So I'm on the home page. What happens if I click on the metadata? And again, this is a nice way to look into these properties of these pages without having to go into my content editor. So if I want to check the styling section, which page design. And you can see this is the GUID, so it's displaying the raw values. So this means SXA is not supporting a drop link in this case, or a drop tree, because this gives us the option of which page design we have been working with. Gives you the open graph section, so you can update all of these inline on the page itself. So basically, when a content author wants to build a page, they can fully go into this view and do this from a single view. In SXA, if you want to update some of these information, so let's get to my page, go to the Experience Accelerator. We have SEO, and we have tags, and we have social. So this is our page metadata. If I want to update my SEO, I click on this one, and then I can change some of these information. If I click on other, you can see some of these information available from the ribbon. So you can do some of these editing on the page. But again, with Horizon, you have all of this almost like the same look of what I have in the content editor, and you can go ahead and edit whatever you want. So this is some of the differences between the SXA view, content view, and the Horizon view in terms of a page and what we do in the metadata. So how does this look like from an editing perspective? Again, it's my placeholder that's currently empty. If I go to the content and I have my home, it gives you a similar view of what we've seen in the metadata. So if I go to page 1, for example, I can see my other sections that should be displayed in there. I have my content now. I have the title and content, and these are the fields that are exposed part of the content template. So you can go ahead and do these things directly from the content view, or just inline edit that if these are exposed as part of the page. Let's go ahead and build our page design. So I have my home page design. It's a new option where I want to assign to create all my home pages from a single page design. I want to create a new partial design for the header and footer. So I'm going to create a page. It's going to give me which insert option do I have. So I have my partial design. I'm going to call it header. This header, again, I'm in the edit view, so I can edit anything in here. If I switch to my component, I can see all of my renderings that are available for my site. The first thing that you can see the differences between this and the toolbox is the grouping. So now if I'm building or designing this in the Experience Editor, I can go to my navigation and drag and drop a link. But in Horizon, you have all of these options available for you. So if we're building a non-SXA or an SXA site, just keep that in mind that everything gonna be displayed in here. So having a proper icon or imaging to your rendering would be very helpful and nice. What I've seen as well, that these are not necessarily alphabetically ordered, so you have to look and search for that. So some of the consideration to look at if you want to actually use Horizon to design a page, what to look at. So let's search and look for an image to start with a logo. So I want to drag and drop an image to my header area. This is my image. I can select and browse for a data source. The difference is I can only choose something from the image section. I can't create anything from this view. If I want to create an image, I have to go to the content view and do that. So let's switch. I'm going to go to my content. So it's preserving the context of the component I was working on. So I'm going to go to my data, go to my images. I'm going to create a new item. Image or image folder. I'm going to call it logo 2. And you can browse the media library or upload, same thing. And again, this is nice because content author, while they're uploading images, can quickly go and add these things because these things are really important. So I'm going to browse the library. I'm going to select this media and it auto-saves. So I'm continuously thinking about saving, but it's already been saved. So if I switch now back to not been displayed, does not exist, don't have a permission. Sorry, this is the homepage. I need to go back to my header. So this is could be something annoying or not, depending on how you look at this. But for me, maybe I should have been thinking about creating content before. Maybe this is not an easy way for me, but it's up to you how you perceive that. So if I go to browse, select my logo tool, now I have my logo added to the header. I can publish, and again, this publish the item and the related item to it. Okay, so let's drag and drop a linked list, a navigation, because I'm building the header. I want to build a navigation component to it. As you can see, I can't define or can control that the image I wanted to take only 2 columns or 3 columns from my page. And I want this to be a full width. I don't have all of these options. And again, this is my navigation component. So I don't have the same ability to modify the properties like I do in my SXA, because if I go now, let's navigate to the presentation, to my partial designs, to my header. I can see if I go to this one, if I go to the design, I want to set this to only take 3 columns. I can do this in the experience editor. I can do that in Horizon. So again, this is another thing to think about. Is it suitable for me to design it the way I used to do it in SXA, or it should be easy for content author to come to a page that's already been set and they can edit content in there. For example, let's add more components. Let's add a promo. Or let's assign. If I want to assign first my header to my page design, if I go to my home page, I want to say, if I go to my metadata, I want to say I want to use this partial design. There is no way I can say my home page design can use this partial design. I have to go back and the experience editor. I'm going to select my home page and say I want to use this header as part of this home page, and basically in the site page design you can associate which page works with which page design. All of these options, as you can see, are only available in the experience editor. So this is yet another confirmation that this is another tool, another perspective or view of how to look at content editing, about working with pages. Nice thing about dragging and drop, but it still have some limitation, or there's a maturity into it in comparison to what we have with the experience editor itself. So if I go now to my page, I go to the edit. I think I've already saved that. Let's go to my home page just quickly. Oh, I did not save. Okay, most likely I have not saved. So if I go to my home page just to double check. Oh, it should use this, and my home page should be selecting page design should be home page. So I switch now. I should be able to see my homepage having the header as part of it. All right, let's drag and drop another component and see what more we can do with this. Let's drag and drop a promo. Again, I'm trying to locate where that component is. Okay, this is a promo. I can add it to my content page. The only thing that I can work with it is to browse to an existing one. So assume we've already created a new one. I can go to my image. I can edit my image. I can go and add this one. Again, to my promo, I can change the text. Whatever you have been using in your components, you can add my link. As you can see, I have still some limitation in that because I can't edit the general link properties of it. But nevertheless, if you go ahead and publish, can I publish some? These are some of the capabilities that you can see different from normal content authoring. As you can see, it's pretty much light. It's slick. It's nice to see all of these information. This one for me is really helpful because I would know which page I'm working with. Switching between pages and content is pretty much easy. If I go and click on my mobile, I can see exactly how this look like in a mobile responsive view. So I can see that, okay, this looks fine, this does not look fine. So for me, certain features, the availability of these features actually is an added value, even if I don't have yet the fully capabilities to update everything in here, but I can easily look into that. If I go back, this is my home page, go to the Insight page. It should give me an idea about all the insights. This is for the phone because I'm on the phone view, so I have not visited this in my phone, so I don't have enough information about it. But again, you can see the difference between for all devices. I can see that this page has been I have 100% bounce rate, so everyone just go to the home page and does not do anything else. I get time on each page, 700 seconds has been spent on this page on February 21st. Areas of improvement, if I need to be improved or not. Give you an insight that this page low bounce rate of 33%. So these statistics that we used to get from Google Analytics and this kind of stuff, you can go into each page and have an idea of how to enhance it. So this page, it has a high bounce rate. I need to keep an eye into it. This one is the visit spent on this page is very low. What kind of a tip I can have? So it gives you some insight of what I can do to enhance the visitors, the usage of each of these pages per device. So if you have a look into just this feature, the availability of that across multiple devices, you can achieve this without having to go to my experience analytics and go into these different. Again, all of these information are there. From here, I can take a look and say, okay, I have 2 visits within the past time, which devices has been used and been active. So everything has been done through the mobile, my conversion rate, the pages that have been visited, all of these information are there. So I have, this is for page 2, this is for page 1, and this is for my home page. So all the information are there in a different view and the analytics, but it looks really nice to have that as you're working and interacting with that page and see how it looks like as you are designing and working with it. So if I go to my page now, have configured its own domain, so you can see how this look like in your browser. But basically, these are some of the capabilities that you can explore if you have Horizon installed and if you have the chance to play around with it. So I want to see if you guys have any questions. So far, this is just highlights of what's new in Sitecore Horizon, what's the options that you can get out of this, and some differences in the experience between working in the experience editor and working in Horizon in terms of editing and designing capabilities. So anyone have any question?
Ishraq, I have a question. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So, is it possible to import any functionality which we want in the Horizon modules? Is that possible?
So what can you define functionality? Like if you can give me an example so I can give you an accurate answer.
Okay. Examples like so if we if I need to add some more applications, can we go?
Yeah, so what you can do with Horizon is what's available in your website. So let's say so you were breaking on site, but I can understand your question. So whatever functionality, let's say I've been working with a non-SXA or with an SXA, I have an MVC component, which is a search functionality. Definitely I can see this component in action. It's going to be exposed. So this is whatever functionality I have in the content. Sorry, go ahead.
Can we integrate it with the dam and the housing? Can we integrate with dam? Is that possible?
Integrated with what, sorry? With the dam? Okay, let's see. Yeah, so with the dam, yes. So yeah, Horizon has a connector to integrate with the dam. So basically, yeah, once you install that connector and you have exposed to the Content Hub and to the dam, you can work with all the media from the dam here in Horizon. So whether it's a pure content or working with the media library, working from the dam, all of this you can definitely work with in Horizon. And again, the only limitation when it comes to this is the editing capabilities. So as we've seen, you can edit a rich text, you can edit an image, you can edit a text by like a drop link. Some of the major fields that we've been working on, there's certain limitation to it because you can't do the editing in line, whether in the pages or in the content. And once you open any page, you can see that I can do certain kind of type of fields, but other stuff are not yet supported. So there's way much enhancements and improvements to the field support to be done. And again, just look at it from a editing perspective. Whatever content you can make available in your Sitecore tree, you should be able to work with in Horizon.
Okay, thank you. Guys,
Sure.
do you have any questions? I think it's very clear, Ishaq. Thank you for such an awesome presentation because I think I have to explore more in Horizon. I'll explore it. I'll get back to you if I have any questions. Thank you for such an awesome presentation.
Sure thing.
Extending
And
my thanks to all the participants.
yeah, definitely. Thank you guys for having me, and thanks everyone who was interested in this topic. It's definitely a new feature in Sitecore that's worth exploring. And every time you work with certain content or certain features, you're gonna explore more about its support or its limitations. So go out there, install it, and play with it. It's very nice. As you can see, it's very intuitive interface. But the more you work with it, the more knowledge you have around it, and whether you can just go out to your clients and present that as an option for them, or just as a supporting tool for basic content such as blogs and news. These just require basic content, right? You have images, text, dates, and all of these fields are supported in the current version of Sitecore 10. So all of these are features are nice. Going through the workflow is also a very quick, so that you can go, I forget to just go through this one, but if I create a quick page in here, and then if I want to go through the workflow, I can just simply go into this and say submit. So again, this workflow step you can approve or reject is also supported in a nice way without having to go into different pop-ups and modules. I'm happy with my workflow. I can just publish and this page is going to be available now for me. So definitely it's a nice perspective of how to work with your editing and your paging experiences. Thanks again for having me, and wish you have a nice evening.
Thank you, Striker.
Thank you, Isha.
Thanks, everyone.